London, John Keats was an important figure of the Romantic period of English literature. At 14, Keats left school to study medicine and eventually began working at a hospital. However, after some years, he gave up medicine to pursue poetry. Keats is best known for his odes, including Ode on a Grecian Urn, Ode to a Nightingale, and Ode on Melancholy. His last collection of poems, Lamia, Isabella, The Eve of Saint Agnes, and other poems, became one of his most well-received collections. Between 1818 to 1819, Keats wrote Endymion, a poetic romance, his longest work. Around 4,000 lines long, the poem is about Endymion, a shepherd, and his love for Cynthia, the moon goddess. The work was not well received by the critics of the time. A Thing of Beauty is an excerpt from the introductory part of Endymion. The opening line is one of the best-known lines in English poetry. The excerpt is a philosophical reflection on the function of beauty. It highlights Keats' beliefs concerning all the natural beauty in the world. According to him, such beauty is the truest form of an antidote for all the darkness and pain that exists in life. Here is a summary of the poem, A Thing of Beauty, by John Keats. The poem opens with the poet affirming the eternal nature of beauty. According to him, beauty only increases with time and never fades away. Beauty is as restful as a quiet sleep to the human soul, as important as good health and breathing. It can be as calming as a bower, a shady resting place. The poet claims that it is beauty that keeps us linked to the earth, keeps us grounded every day. It makes us forget our sadness and keeps us happy and hopeful. The poet presents beauty as a defense against the despair that is so common in the world. There is despair due to the near impossibility of finding good-hearted people and due to unhealthy thoughts and actions. Despite all this, beauty, even in its most abstract form, can always lighten our mood and uplift our spirits. The poet then presents nature as a life force filled with many objects of beauty. From the sun and the moon to small streams, from dainty flowers to mighty trees that provide shade for everyone, all are a great source of comfort and energy. The poet then proceeds to talk of myths and legends that we have heard or read. The glorious fates and deaths of the heroes in these tales are also presented as objects of beauty. These tales are a source of eternal beauty as they will always live within the hearts and minds of people. Thus, beauty is like an endless fountain and a blessing from a higher power that constantly rejuvenates and motivates. Now let us examine the poem closely. The predominant theme of this introductory stanza of Endymion is that comfort can be derived from beauty. This beauty can be found everywhere around us. According to the poet, things of beauty provide joy and comfort to many in times of extreme sadness and despair. They help in dispelling the darkness of thought in the human mind and have a calming effect. Because beauty is enduring, the comfort it gives lasts forever too. In a way, the poet highlights the importance of developing positive, beautiful thoughts to guard against the darkness and despair that everyday life can create. We must attempt to fill our lives with positivity by being one with nature. The secondary theme of the poem is that great literature can be a rich source of beauty. In the last few lines of the poem, the poet speaks about the grand tales of myths and legends being as filled with beauty as nature. They prove themselves to be endless sources of inspiration. The poem is a highly lyrical poem written in heroic couplets, a traditional form of English poetry. Heroic couplets comprise rhyming pairs of lines written in iambic pentameter. Observe these lines from the poem. Here the words moon and boon are rhyming. Also, there are 5 iambs in each line. That is, there are 5 foots or units, each containing one unstressed syllable followed by one stressed syllable. Here, the stressed syllables are in bold. From our dark spirits, such the sun, the moon, trees old and young, sprouting a shady boon. This metrical pattern of syllables creates a sense of balance and rhythm within each line and couplet. As with most poems of the Romantic period, this poem uses powerful imagery and symbols, especially those related to nature. This makes the link between beauty and its eternal power vivid. The sun, the moon, streams, and trees are all presented as symbols and expressions of natural beauty. Another image of natural beauty is presented through flowers, such as daffodils and musk roses among ferns. In addition, the poet uses the symbol of a fountain that flows unceasingly down to us from heaven to symbolize the inspiration provided by the grand tales of mythology. Another symbol in the poem is that of simple sheep, which is a reference to all living beings. The beauty in nature is a source of comfort for everyone. The poem also has instances of metaphors or indirect comparisons. For instance, beauty is compared to a bower, a quiet, serene, shady place which offers comfort. Similarly, the despair experienced in life is compared to a pall, that is, a shroud that is used to cover the dead. Beauty is said to have the power to remove the pall and replace it with joy. Another figure of speech used is inversion, some to emphasize certain ideas or phrases and others to maintain the rhyme. The phrase, "Are we wreathing?" is an example of inversion. Here, "Are we wreathing a flowery band?" has been split into 2 lines so that the line ends with a rhyme. The poet also seems to want to emphasize the act of wreathing rather than the objects that were being wreathed, as the objects, flowers, are merely a representation of thoughts and memories. Another example of inversion can be seen in the line, "that for themselves a cooling covert make." Here the poet has rearranged the words cooling covert and make for the sake of rhyme. The poem has examples of syncope, where words or phrases are shortened for style or to keep the number of syllables in control. For instance, the poet uses spite instead of inspite and o'er and against, primarily to control stress and syllables. Here are some other figures of speech that appear in the poem. Now that you have an understanding of the poem A Thing of Beauty,